karanasan mo po, tingnan ba nakasalanan natin dito?
Media educators and journalists called to defend press freedom.
This corruption in media won't be reduced to
After the 1986 revolution and freedom was restored to the country, a group of journalists led by Betty Go Belmonte and Max Sullivan started a newspaper with Art Borjal and the late Louis Beltran, which they called the Philippine Star. Guided by their motto, "Truth shall prevail," the Philippine Star is intent on its mission in providing accurate information so that the citizenry could be active and constructive participants in nation building. Today, the Philippine Star is one of the most respected newspapers in the country, distinguished for its balanced, objective, and fair reporting, which is why it was named the Newspaper of the Year by the Rotary Club of Manila for 2012. Good evening, you're watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. I'm Jing Magsaysay. And joining me tonight from one of the leading newspapers in the country, Philippine Star's Associate Editor, Marichu Villanueva. Ichu, thank you for coming.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me.
Ichu, how's the newspaper business? Ganda ba?
Yeah. Speaking from Philippine Star,
Yeah.
and the latest survey that we had is we remain #1 in terms of advertising,
Okay.
advertising revenues,
Okay.
and that goes with the subscription
Okay.
and readership.
What are the numbers in terms of readership? How many people read the Philippine Star?
You know, readership is very tricky. There is a certain pass on. They
Correct.
don't buy,
Tama.
they just
Tama.
pass it
Tama.
on. So there's some redundancy in
Right.
the numbers.
Right.
That's why our rival keeps on saying they're #1 in readership,
Okay.
but they don't mention how many pages their newspaper sells. I mean, look at the Philippine Star,
Yeah.
and Britain also they have it. The number of pages. Today we have 84 pages.
Okay.
Since that readership thing started, the race for readership, our rival has not indicated their number of pages.
Why is that important?
Because the number of pages indicate how much cost that you put in.
Producing the paper.
Yeah, producing the paper. Because we have to accommodate all the ads.
Right.
And we have to put in the stories.
Right. Right.
And our rival keeps on saying they are #1, but they have very thin newspaper.
So, walang laman. Parang network wars din yan, yung paper wars.
That's
Everybody
why-
talks about the network wars, GMA, ABS,
Audience
Channel 5.
share, yeah, the audience
Kami
share.
saling pusa eh. Pero, in terms of newspapers, it's really the Philippine Star and the Inquirer tinitignan ng mga tao. And you're saying you're #1 in terms of ad revenues and readership. No? How many people? Can you give us a ballpark figure? Pati yung pass-on, kasama na yung pass-on.
I'm not really into that numbers, no? Kasi,
Okay.
content lang kami. Editors for the content.
All right, you're associate editor. What's your job? What do you do?
My job right now is may dash news editor.
News editor.
Yeah.
Ang daming trabaho nun.
Yeah.
So that means tinitignan mo lahat ng stories?
Yes. The first thing I do in the morning when I wake up is to tune into the radio to monitor the latest news in the morning,
Right.
Then when I go to the office, I'm the morning editor, and I'm also office manager for the editorial office. Is to read all the newspapers. Of course, you have to
Right.
check your rivals
Correct.
or your competitors.
Correct.
If you were scooped or not, or you
Correct.
scoop them.
Correct.
And get the possible follow-up or new angles or new leads. And get some ideas, new ideas, create the stories. That takes more of my morning session.
Oo, maubos ang oras mo nun if you read all
Then
the papers
in
and go through
between,
all the
that stories coming from provinces in Manila and the wires, you have to check. And with the advent of the internet, you have to check also the websites and now the Twitters.
But you have there's a structure in the office that helps you do all these things. That helps you
Yes.
do all these things.
Yeah.
No?
You know, if you visit me at the Philippine Star, I'm in my one corner there. On my left side is the radio,
Yeah.
my desktop, TV on the left side,
Oo.
and the farther side there is the wires, the foreign news.
Okay.
services.
And on top of that, you write your column pa.
Yeah, MWF.
MWF.
Common sense.
So, what has changed, Ichu, in newspapering?
You know, the advent of modern technology changed the complexion of the paper.
When you say
newspaper
modern
industry.
technology, you're talking about social media?
Yes, and the implements, the tools that we use.
The tools that you use.
Diba, remember when we were covering Malacanang together?
Yeah.
We would just use a typewriter.
Correct. Namimiss ko na nga yung tunog ng typewriter.
Typewriter, then we
Yeah.
fax it.
Correct.
Or sometimes if time is of the essence, we just phone in.
Tama.
Phone in our,
Phone in our reports.
Yeah,
Oh,
nagwi-video
yeah.
tayo kasi kailangan ma-submit na, the
Correct.
deadline.
Oo.
Now, we have the cell phones, we have the laptops, and the internet, and everything is so fast and quick. And in a matter of few seconds, ando doon na istorya mo. You just email it.
Right. You have an online edition,
Yes,
for
yes.
the Philippine
Yeah.
Star.
In fact, dalawa.
Dalawa yung online edition nyo. Why?
PhilStar.com and the PhilStar. Because the Philippine Star Group is composed of
Yeah,
tabloids
group of
also.
companies, right.
And they have the PhilStar.com and we have our PhilStar. There's a matter of, because of the content.
Oo. Yung Philippine Star, the paper, the newspaper, because people can read it on the internet also.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Yung sa iPad,
Yeah,
you can just flip it. Like,
yeah, correct. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Has it helped your readership or advance your readership?
you know, that's the problem here in the Philippines. How do you call that? The access.
Access to the internet?
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking about income levels here.
Right, right.
And you know how much is the per capita income of Filipinos here.
Oo,
That's why we believe newsprint will stay in the Philippines for good.
Kasi konti lang ang may access
Yes.
sa internet. But
Yeah.
is there a
And
market
money,
for
of
it?
course.
Is there a market for
For
it? May
internet.
effect din ba sa distribution nyo? Yung
No,
bagong platform?
we have not experienced that kind of,
Really?
no dent at all.
Talaga?
Yeah, it's really the income,
Okay.
per capita income of the people, the internet access. And not all Filipinos have that access to internet.
Correct.
And 20 pesos, they can get a copy of the Philippine Star and they can even sell it the next day because, di ba, mga paper na binibenta na lang
Oo.
per kilo, ganon.
Oo.
And
What-
this internet, wala naman silang ano.
And what the tools have changed, it should,
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
All of us, TV, print, radio, lahat tayo are dictated by technology ngayon.
Yes, yes.
But in terms of old-fashioned journalism, do you still choose the stories the way you chose stories 20, 15 years ago when we were covering the beat? Is it still the same principle and philosophy?
You know, that's one of the disadvantages of technology. The downside of it is that, especially for editors, you don't have the face-to-face contact now with your reporters compared to us in the past,
Right.
diba?
Correct.
We have to go to the office to type our stories,
Oo.
and our editors are breathing
Over
down
our
our necks. So
shoulders, yeah.
deadline time,
Oo.
and they can mura cast us.
All the time.
Oo,
All
cast
the-
where's your story?
Oo.
And papakita pa sa'yo, punitin ng papel, pagpangit ang pakano, lalagay sa...
Oo.
Well, we don't have that kind of culture now because
Right.
they just phone, email,
Oo.
just tell my story's there in the email na.
Has that affected the kind of journalists we have today?
Yeah, that's my frustration now because this seems some of the bad side of it is they rely on the cell phone contacts. They can just text their sources
Contact their
or call
sources,
them
oo.
up. But as in the past, we have to go to the source himself, di ba?
Correct.
To the person that we would like to
Correct.
interview, person to person.
Right.
Or we tagang babad sa beat. We have to stay in the beat. Kasi news gathering is not just papers. Just you use your senses.
Oo.
Eyes, ears, nose.
Correct.
Observe what odd things or what
People are doing,
yeah.
how people are moving. Yeah.
Used to be this way. But how come it's different now?
Oo.
That's a story if you have the nose for news.
That's right. That's right. By looking at mere facial expression, di ba?
yeah.
Especially in a critical situation, di ba?
Yeah, di ba?
Titignan mo yung reaction ng mga tao.
Remember?
May istorya dito.
Di ba, remember
Yeah.
kay President Cory Aquino, the late President Cory Aquino,
Right.
when we used to cover at Malacanang? Talagang nag-ambush tayo sa labas.
Oo.
Kikita natin. And she usually do not answer us. But
Oo.
we read the body language.
Correct. Correct.
When she just shrug of our question, President Aquino shrug of questions.
Yeah.
Kasi she refused to answer eh.
Yeah.
Kaya laugh off, tumawa siya.
Yeah.
Wala na yung ganung element na human interest eh.
But you're still trying to keep to the old school journalism model.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Hindi kayo affected by the way TV is doing news?
There
Sensational kasi ang
yeah.
TV eh, di ba?
That's the problem. I mean, I know no prejudice or what or criticisms, but the TV that I used to know before and now
Yeah.
has somewhat changed. Naging editorializing na ngayon. Nasa-shock ako nanonood ako TV. The reporter on the field reporting, and yet he or she is editorializing it,
Yes.
giving her own comments.
Yes. Yes.
Old school ako sa journalism.
Bakit ganun
Oh,
nangyayari?
yeah. Hindi ba ini-edit ito sa ano?
Right. Right.
Di ba? You don't mix your opinion on the news. Just deliver the straight news. If you want your opinion, you get the people to talk about the opinion that you share.
Right.
But you should not be the one telling the opinion or opinionating on the news.
It's the evolving Philippine brand of TV journalism, where you have your main news anchors, also your main radio commentators.
Yeah, nawala yung delineation, fine
Nawala yung
delineation.
delineation,
Oo,
di ba?
oo.
But the print media is still print media,
Yes.
and it hasn't changed.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Is the news environment now, Ichu, better for journalists than it was during our time when we were covering Malacanang?
I think it has gone for the good naman. Better because of the implements now, the readiness, I mean the availability of information and the way to deliver it, to deliver to our readers, to our TV viewers.
Yeah.
It has improved a lot. And I think it has given a wider perspective for us, much leeway to do our stories.
Okay, we still have a lot to discuss with our guests. Keep it here on the Solar News Channel. News Cafe will return after these reminders.
This corruption in media won't be reduced to
You're still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and we're still joined by our guest, Marichu Villanueva of the Philippine Star. Ichu, again, thanks for joining me today. Let's go back to the paper wars. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
Are the philosophies the same?
I don't know with our rivals, but we stick to our own values, set of values, as we declare in this Philippine Star logo, the truth shall prevail.
Yeah.
So we are very sensitive to the accuracy of our reports and stories.
Yeah.
And we do not subscribe to the idea that ang tawag namin, story today, deny tomorrow. Di ba nakakaya yun? It reduces your credibility as a newspaper.
Of course.
So
of
really
course. Any
vet
news
very
organization.
well. Yeah.
Any news organization. Makapaglabas ka lang ng story today. Tapos bukas deny mo. I mean, you know, these are the pillars of journalism na kuminsan nawawala eh. Gets lost in the rush of the news.
Yes.
No? Especially today when people want information right now.
Yeah.
Gusto ko ngayon na. It's affected the way journalists do their job as well. In terms of writing, has writing improved over the years? From schools?
Yeah.
What's your observation?
You know, kasi as an associate editor, I also am the one in charge of vetting those who apply to us.
Right.
Maraming nag-apply sa Star. Pagdating sa writing, grammatical, something's wrong. Bakit ganito? Mas magaling pa yung anak ko sa college noon, na college graduate na itong mga ito, nag-journalism pa man din.
Yeah. From good schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we go through the same experience. The writing is bad.
Yeah, writing is bad, and the construction of the news.
Yeah.
Hello, I thought you graduated from journalism. What's happening?
Pero yung writing nila, teaching them new skills.
You know, as an editor, our preference is to have already a very experienced or previous experience.
Correct.
So we don't want to be the one to train them.
Yeah.
We want them when they jump and start running. So
Pero mahirap humanap nun.
Fine-tuning na lang. Fine-tuning
Correct.
na lang yung kanilang skills.
In your columns that what do you usually write about?
Kasi as a columnist, you want to have readers, di ba?
Correct.
If you're writing a column, but nobody reads it, no
Wala
sense at all,
din.
di ba? So I try to be what is the hot topic of the day? Kasi
Okay.
MWF kami, di ba?
Oo.
Ako, I mean. So, kung ano yung, minsan, since na I am writing it as a news editor, associate editor,
Oo.
up to date yung columns ko.
Right.
So, I'm very pleased with the feedback that I get na yung the readers tell me, oh, I didn't know that. It's a good thing you explain it to us. That's the flexibility ng column. You are able to give the news the pros and cons, and you let the readers judge for themselves. Let them draw their own conclusions, di ba? You don't impose your opinion on them.
You're in a very special position. No? You see all the stories coming in. No? You have a lot of information getting to your desk. You have a very clear picture of what's going on in the country. No? How do you feel about our country today?
Better than the previous days, previous years. It's getting better. We are going, I think we are on the right direction. I don't want to be sounding like...
Yeah, of course, yes.
But we have now a leader who is very young, and he knows the feel of the people, the pulse of the people.
Okay.
And I'm glad that he has been lately been more receptive to suggestions, and dati I heard na masyado siyang hard-headed, bull-headed when he has something, Now I heard that from his own close circle.
Has he changed to the way he is with media?
Yes. No. I mean, better. Change for the better.
Change for the better.
Oh, yeah. Less, kasi daw, in the past, narinig ko yung mga, dati sa Senate siya, di ba? Senator siya. You can just text him, right? Ngayon, na-hack na yung kanyang cellphone. So
Bago na yung cellphone niya.
he has to change them.
Yeah.
So, I mean kasi, little things like that, huwag mo na i-bother ang president with na text mga ganon. You focus on your state of, job, your affairs of the state.
Right.
Huwag na yung mga text, yung mga bigay mo na sa cabinet members mo, yung mga alter ego mo.
Yeah.
So at least sabi ko, buti nga na-hack. Wala din sa may istorbo ng mga nagte-text sa kanya ng mga reporters.
Where do you think journalism and newspapers will be, wag ng 10 years, mga 5 years from now, Ichu? What do you think it's going to be like?
With the advent of technology, latest technology,
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, for the next 5 years, ganun pa rin naman. I see it that way. And with more modern implements,
Right.
mga smartphones.
Oo.
I get stories pag late breaking na through the Blackberries.
Oo.
Ina-email, di ba?
Yeah.
The
right.
iPhone.
Right.
Makikita ko through my Blackberry, through my iPhone. Buti lang kamo, may mga gadgets na pwede mo lang isaksak yung tawag doon, yung maliliit.
Oo.
Para doon na
USB, no?
USB.
You have a problem, a built-in inherent problem, no? You have to print the news.
Yeah.
No? Like katulad nung may bago ng Pope. Yung mga headline wala pang Pope. Kasi yung bagong Pope madaling araw, di ba? What happened then? How do you deal with things like that?
That's one of naging lessons namin, hard lessons about that Pope in that particular. Kasi our rival apparently had a better idea to come out with naman kasi PhilippineStar had that policy na one accuracy.
Correct.
So we paid a dear price for that being stickler to accuracy. So we missed that chance. Pero few thousand lang naman yun. 5,000 copies or 10,000 copies lang naman yun.
But it tells you something,
Yeah, kasi they use it in the Facebook to show the difference between the us.
So how do you deal with that now? You have an online edition that is more responsive.
Yeah, kasama yun. I mean, actually hindi mga totally na scoop doon.
Okay.
Sa online naman, we were on the online. So,
yung
yun na.
story, lumabas sa online?
Oo, online.
Okay.
Daw-
Yun lang print?
Sa print lang hindi.
Sa print lang
But
hindi
we have
lumabas.
that remat capability sa Star. Yun nga kami napagalitan ng mga bossing namin.
Okay, if you say you have a remat capability, what time frame are you talking about? How
12 up to 1.
up to 1 a.m. Kaya nyo?
Oh, kaya.
And
Aabot, Metro Manila additional lang yun. Hindi na provincial.
hindi na probinsya. Ang mahahabol nyo yung NCR?
Metro Manila.
Metro Manila or NCR?
NCR.
So, including the provinces around
Mga
Metro
Bulacan,
Manila.
Rizal, yan, abot pa yan.
So, kaya?
Kaya.
Including distribution?
Yung hanggang NCR lang.
Ayun ka hanggang
Oo,
NCR?
yeah, oo.
That's amazing. Kasi, dati, anong oras ba yung latag dati? Ang latest?
12 dati lang.
12.
Oh, 12.
Ngayon, kaya na hanggang
Hanggang
1 o'clock.
Oo.
And that's a big factor, no?
Yeah.
1 hour. And
Kaya lang,
that's a
maliit
lot
na
of
nga
things.
lang, ano mo nun.
Oo.
Malaki ang chances mo na maraming returns.
How many people are in the Philippine Star?
As the last time that we had a General Assembly last Christmas, mga around 1,200 plus. Yung empleyado, regular employees, ha?
Regular employees.
Ay,
no?
yung
This
mga
is
plus,
everything,
plus.
pati support, no?
Oo.
Pati finance,
Sa
admin,
printing,
everything.
publication. Meron kaming publication, di ba?
Right.
We have our own printing. Ano.
For news gathering, ilan ang tao nyo?
Ako, as far as I'm concerned, I have 26 reporters here, plus 40 provincials.
Stringers.
Na provincial, yeah, kasama na stringers doon.
Kasama na stringers doon.
A dozen of photographers.
Okay.
Kasi mga news din ng from the business, it goes. So, we have
Correct.
a dozen of reporters of business, sports, ganun.
You need more?
I wish I could hire more. Pero naisip ko rin, parang so much redundant. Ano yun, magiging idle lang eh. We want efficiency. Right now, I can do with the 26. I can add for 1 or 2, okay, mas okay yon. But that's it na sa akin eh. Para sa akin, that's ideal na eh. Kasi otherwise, idle na eh.
The Belmontes own the Star. no?
Majority.
Yes, majority own the Star. Does that have any effect on the way news is in terms of politics and
You know,
content?
I can tell you straight in the eyes,
Hindi
the
nakikialam.
speaker never, I never see him in the Star.
And he never makes phone calls, he never makes...
Binibiro ko nga eh. Dati mayor siya, di ba?
Oo.
O yung QC correspondent ko, merong crime dito. Kasi pino-forward niya sometimes yung mga police reporter binigay sa kanya. O yung QC correspondent ko, niloloko ko minsan siya. Tapos, actually, he's more of the post-mortem na lang eh.
Okay.
Magta-text sa akin yan, Iha, what's happening, anong nangyayari sa ating bayan? Yung mga, kung anong big news.
Okay.
Postmortem
Well, he talks
na eh.
about the news.
Oo.
He doesn't talk about the way you do the news
No.
in the Philippine Star.
He asked, anong nangyayari sa ating bayan, Iha? He's just asking for that. What's the big news? Nakikichismis baga. And
Is he-
regularly pa yun
Do you use him as a source for the House of Representatives?
Hindi nga, maalang nga ng mga reporters ko sa house eh. Si Jess
Di
Diaz.
man lang mabigyan ng story.
Oo, si Jess Diaz at si Paolo Romero. At siyempre, pag nabubulyawan sila, kaya silang bulyawan. Hindi sila makatanong ng, sabi ko, hindi, okay yan si speaker, try mo lang.
And the Belmonte family has a lot of advocacies,
Yes.
and it shows in the paper. What are the main philosophies that the family espouses?
You know, the late Betty Go Belmonte has a very big portrait inside our conference room where we hold our daily story conferences. And we had that vision, mission, and vision
Right.
thing. And at the bottom of everything, it is summed up by our logo, truth shall prevail. I mean, they are very, the Belmontes, nasa politics ang vice mayor.
Oo.
Tapos si Miguel ang nasa Star.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see walang ano. Sila owner and yet they don't even come out in the front page, yung mga photos nila.
Yeah.
They refuse pa nga sabi mo, amin din yan eh. Parang ganun eh. They stay away.
And how do you look? Final question, Ichu. We're out of time. How do you see media in the Philippines in the next, at least up to the presidential elections of 2016?
You know, Philippine media is so powerful. we can dictate the events of the day. Even at one time, I was talking with the former executive secretary, Eduardo Ermita, when I bumped into him on one of the occasions. Sabi niya, you know, Iha, you dictate the policy of the government. Why naman, sir? Every time you read the headline, you give us the idea what to do, what to do better, what to improve upon. Ganun ba, sir? Kaya it gives me some sense of responsibility na I have to be responsible with all those headlines coming out.
Right.
It's a guiding principle na we have to be responsible because really Philippine media is so powerful in influencing opinion, the ordinary people, especially the policymakers.
Well, that's the way it should be. And it's always nice to hear old school journalism and philosophies. Ichu, thanks a lot for being on the program.
Thank
More
you.
power to the Philippine Star. Congratulations on your readership. And
By the way, we just made the Hall of Fame Best Newspaper.
Congratulations.
Manila Rotary Club just a month ago.
Oh, congratulations. Well, the Philippine Star will always be a part of the Philippine media landscape. For Filipinos, it's been there especially since the revolution of '86. Chu, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this evening. I'd like to thank my guest, Marichu Villanueva, Associate Editor of the Philippine Star, for being with us today. Join us again next Thursday for another round of discussions right here in News Cafe. I'm Jing Magsaysay. Salamat po.